Okay. Well, you guys, I look forward to our time together today. My name, of course, is Nate Munnell. I'm with TradeWest Forex, and Mike Swanson has asked that I spend some time with traders that are looking to get a little bit further instruction on the side of MetaTrader and several different aspects of trading. So everyone that's getting started, or maybe it's the opportunity just to refresh a little bit and to go over and look at some different things within the platforms and just have the opportunity to kind of go over this stuff. Welcome. Either way, if it's a refresher or if this is your first time, thanks so much for taking the time to be with us. Okay. My name, of course, is Nate Munnell, and today we're going to be going into module number 4, which is a continuation of MetaTrader. Okay. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to post them in the chat box. That's it's going to give us the opportunity to kind of get an idea as to what's going on, where everybody's at, and so that's something that I would ask of everybody. If you could just be ready to give us some feedback, and we're going to jump right into the platforms today. Okay. So hopefully everybody is on board with this. You should right now. You should be able to see a MetaTrader platform pulled up, and let's make sure that everybody can see the screen. Go ahead and give me another Y if we've got everybody on board here and ready to go. Usually I take a little bit more time discussing and going over different things because we're looking at a continuation. We're gonna just jump right into it. Okay. Well, really quick to kind of just go over again really quickly kind of a brief overview of what we talked about in the past. There's several different aspects to MetaTrader that makes MetaTrader one of the best overall platforms out there for trading Forex. And when you look at the different things that really attract traders to different platforms, more often than not, and this kind of, in my opinion, it tends to be this in just about anything, customization always becomes, in my opinion, it goes right at the top of the list of just about anything I'm doing. If it's software related, I really like the ability to be able to go in and customize things. When you're looking at different platforms out there, from Zulu to NinjaTrader to just TradeStation, Trading Station, MetaTrader, all these different platforms that are available, MetaTrader seems to be the most, really the most customizable. And there's the more options you have, or the more opportunity you have to customize things, the more likely you're going to get things to where you're comfortable. And that's so much of getting started in Forex is becoming familiar, but becoming comfortable. If you're comfortable with something, you're going to feel better about it. You're going to do better with it. So let's go over really quickly, just kind of review a little brief overview of what we talked about last time. We went into everything from the different modules, the different pieces of MetaTrader 4. Of course, this is MetaTrader 4. There is a MetaTrader 5. There was a MetaTrader 3, obviously. MetaTrader 5, of course, will be a different module down the road. And we are seeing some very promising things coming out of MetaTrader 5. But once again, as we've mentioned in previous modules, MetaTrader 4 is still the stable and really probably still the overall best platform to be trading. When you see the majority of the different brokers out there switch over to MetaTrader 5, I'm guessing it could be a year out, could be 2 years out, could be 6 months, but it's currently, we're still in the tail end of March of 2013. It's, we're still doing very well with MetaTrader 4 and recommend to probably stick with that one until you see a little bit more stability out of MetaTrader 5. But there's some very cool things that we'll talk about in future modules about MetaTrader 5 and some of the new opportunity that it's creating for us. Okay, in the different sections, you have under File, of course, you've got everything from New Chart, Open Chart. open, deleted. You can go through and access just about everything in your little context menu here. You can open an account if you've already got a demo account that you've been trading and you decide, you know what, I really like this broker. Everything seems to be on the up and up. You can go in and open a live account. It's going to give you the directions and the step-by-step chance to open things up there. You can print things, and you can obviously close the chart altogether. Under the view, this is you're going to find yourself probably popping in here every once in a while, but you've got several different things that you can do to customize it, from languages down to what you see in the way of your different windows. Now, the three most used are Market Watch, Navigator, and Terminal, of course. So on your Market Watch, we talked about in the last module, we talked a little bit about right-clicking anywhere on the module, and anywhere it doesn't. You can pick. You can actually click on a right-click, of course, on a currency pair, and then go in and choose Hide All. What that's going to do is hide all just gets rid of everything else that you don't need in there. Now, one of the things that I learned early on, when I was running a lot of different systems out there, a lot of different platforms and a lot of different charts running, and I had several different software programs going, I started to notice that my computer could get kind of sluggish. It could slow down a little bit. Anything you can do to cause your system to be more streamlined and have less things to think about and trip over along the process, the less likely you're going to have something screw up a trade for you. And it sounds kind of ridiculous, but believe it or not, when you start getting into live accounts and you're trading a significant amount of money, the last thing you want is to have anything that's going to slow you down or throw off your trade and not have you ready. So one of the first things you do is you do want to be comfortable with this stuff, and you want to make sure that everything's lined up and where you want it. Of course, you can take things and you can put them in different places. As we've mentioned, with these kind of modules, they'll move around and go just about wherever you want them to. But it's one of those where you have to be comfortable with where things are and being able to access them. So there's several different things that we can do within MetaTrader that make it very, very nice to actually be able to maneuver around. One of the things that I like to do a lot of times, and you can do this, you can do it in several ways, but some people don't really care for all of the different boxes, okay, from the Market Watch to the Terminal and the strategy, all these different things. Some people don't care to see all that stuff if they're trying to focus on their charts, and so they'll hit full screen, and that's, of course, that's F11. And that's the nice thing about MetaTrader, they do show you right off to the side what your hotkeys are. It just makes it a little bit quicker to access those things. Okay. Now, if for whatever reason, if you're having a hard time getting into different parts of what you'd like to, what you're wanting to do, keep in mind there's more than one way to get into just about anything with MetaTrader 4. The one thing that you'll always have access to essentially is up top here is your toolbar up across the top. Now, like I mentioned, there's several ways to do it. If you're a hotkey person, you might want to go in and start memorizing the hotkeys. If you're a clicker like me, I prefer to just to click things. I'll go through and for example, if you're trying to place an order, all it takes is double-clicking a symbol or a currency pair. Okay. Now, obviously, you can right-click and click New Order. You can go into several different places to actually make it. You can go on the chart. You can go trading. You can also do New Order, F9 if you're a hotkey person. So there's a lot of different ways to do things, and that's the first thing I'd say is if anything that I'm going to be showing, it's probably something that I prefer or what I think might make sense or might be the more likely approach used. But we'll go ahead and open things back up here. It doesn't really matter where we've got one or the other. Get the terminal back in here. So keep that in mind. Familiarize yourself to the point where you know where things are. Nothing's worse than being in the middle of a trade, needing to do something. So once again, back to the element of having, the idea of having less. I did show all, or I did hide all just a minute ago. I'm going to hit show all again. It's going to pull back up all my symbols, okay? And you can see that we're connected, of course, to MetaTrader, to MetaQuotes, to our broker, to FinFX. We can see that we're connected because we see the movement. You see the blue and the red. And that's what we called, of course, ticking. There's our tick chart there at the bottom there. We can see that things are moving. Now, keep in mind that when we're looking for trades, when we're looking to do different things throughout the charts, you want to make sure that before you go into anything, and this is a mistake that I made, I made for some time, and that is have an idea as to what you want to accomplish. Have a goal set up. We've done different workshops on setting trading goals and being ready to kind of execute different trades and follow a strategy. But if you haven't been trading already and you don't have a significant amount of what we call chart time, where you're just watching what different pairs are doing, then really you probably don't want to just go in and start skipping stones. You don't want to start throwing in and just trades just to see what they do, just to see how they bounce off of different things. I mean, yes, demos are for that, but the more seriously you take even your demo trades, the quicker you're going to be comfortable moving into live trading. So once again, familiarize yourself with how to get in and out of setting things up. We talked a little bit about how we can customize the charts in the last module. I'm not a big fan of grids. It's the first thing that I always just get rid of. I like the clean look on charts. Some people prefer to have as many possible things covering their charts, just so that they can see 5 or 6 different indicators. There's nothing wrong with that. You find what works for you, and that's the nice thing about MetaTrader 4 is customization is definitely there. One thing that I would like to point out before we get too much further into it, on the top bar here as you go across over to Tools, this is something that I think a lot of people worry about, and they don't say much about it, but let's go over it really quick, and that is passwords. If you're trying to do something with a password and you're looking to change your password to something you're going to remember, because as you probably remember, when we set up and we installed the platform last time, MetaTrader, whatever your brokerage is, they automatically generate for you a password. And of course, if you did not put in your actual email, you're not going to receive an email with that information. If it was phony information, you're not going to get an email, obviously. They're not going to be able to find you. So start out real quick and go up to File, View, look at the top toolbar here, go down to Tools, and then head down to Options. Go into Options. If you haven't already done this, you want to make sure that you can get back into your platform. You can see from the top, the very first tab that's open, that is Server. You're going to see there's your server. It's going to show you which server you're on. This is a demo that we've opened up here, for example, and you have a login and you have obviously a password. Now, whatever that password was that you opened up that demo with, and they gave you that password, you can go in and hit Change, of course. Now, if you hit Change and you go in and you try to make that change, make sure that you're putting it into something that you want it to be. It's going to ask you if you want to. It's going to ask you for your old password, and then it's going to give you an opportunity to put in a new password. Okay. So keep that in mind. When you're doing this stuff, you want to make sure that you remember stuff. Sometimes most retail traders are going to, you really don't have to worry about a lot of different elements that other traders do. If you're just trading and you're just getting started, chances are you want to make as many of your passwords very easy to remember and something to get in and out of real quickly. I might add, in this option here, in the Options menu, when you open this up under Tools, again, it's under Tools, you're going to want to go down to Enable DDE Server for Pip Stat. If you're using Pip Stat, you will want to enable DDE Server. So when you open it up, it's probably your platform's going to look like that. Go in and click that and then hit OK. That's going to give you a chance to actually go in and set up. It's going to let you set up Pip Stat. So make things a little bit easier. so that it will access the system. Okay, so we have here 4 charts. We've got the pound dollar, the euro US dollar, the pound yen, the beast as they call it, the euro yen, and you can see next to that, of course, you can see your time frame. Okay, now one thing that I typically recommend, now you can see that I've got it cleaned up a little bit here. One thing that I recommend is, depending upon what currency pair you're trading, you typically don't, if you don't need to have extra charts open, I don't recommend keeping them open. Once again, there's depending upon how you're trading, if you're trading on your own personal computer, if you're trading on a VPS, a virtual private server, some of these systems, for example, a VPS might not have 12 or 16. It's probably not going to have that much RAM. They don't need it. They don't need that much random access memory to be able to process what's going on. But if you are using a VPS and you're trading on a separate kind of a computer inside of a computer, or off a remote computer, I should say, then you typically want to keep things as streamlined as you can and not have too much other things running in the background. So, okay. Well, we talked a little bit about how you can move your screens around within the system. There is some software that allows you to change it out, but you can also stretch this window. If you're trying to open this up across several different windows, of course, this is Windows we're talking about. You can do this on a Mac, but you can pull this past, and you can't see my other screen, but I'm opening this across 2 very large screens, and so you can make your screens a lot bigger. Keep in mind you can also go in under the View tab, hit F11 or hit Full Screen, and it's going to get rid of your terminal, your navigator, and your market watch and everything else, and it's nothing but screens. And you can still right-click on that chart. If you don't want to have to go in and go out of full screen mode, you can actually hit right-click on that chart, go to Trading, and close and open a new order. I'm going to show you a little bit something different today as well, referring to Pip Stat. There's certain tools that I really like to use, and I'm going to kind of open that up and show you guys. If you haven't already, if you haven't heard of it, I can give you a bit of a brief introduction to it. But there's different ways to execute an order, and that's getting into an order, actually placing that order. Okay, so as you can see here, once again we talked about under the navigator box, you can see that it's a green shirt, it's a demo. There are some brokers that have that flipped. A green is actually a live account, and the gold little shirt there on the guy, if it said next to my name here, if it had a gold shirt, sometimes that's sometimes that's actually the demo. But the majority of brokers out there, you're going to see green for demo and gold for a live account. And when you've got multiple accounts under here, it's nice to be able to differentiate the two. Okay, so I opened, in the navigator box, I opened the indicators just by clicking the little plus there. Plus and minus, like I mentioned before, is going to open that up, and you can go down, you can pick any of the indicators that you want. I like to use moving averages. I like to also use some of the strength indexes sometimes. But there's all these different things. Sometimes Bollinger Bands. There's a lot of stuff there that really you don't need to pay attention to. If you're just getting started, the most important thing that you can do is find a strategy that fits what you're doing, in my opinion. So that's kind of step one, finding something that sounds like it fits what you're doing, or your approach to trading. Now, under Expert Advisors, these are also programs. I've already gone in to the TradeWest Forex website, and I've downloaded and installed a program called Pip Stat. So I can kind of show you that real quick here. We'll go ahead and take Pip Stat, and once again, you can right-click on the things. You can double-click on the whatever you see here under the Expert Advisors Pip Stat. If you're getting a product from TradeWest Forex, there's almost always a template. So you can actually go in. You can right-click on a chart. Like over here, I've come over to this chart. I right-click on it, and you can go down to Template. And for me, I want to go down. I want to say TradeWest Forex Pip Stat. And we started talking a little bit about templates and profiles. This is going to make your life a lot easier. And as you can see, it looks like we've got some kind of an error. but it's not. This is our connection for Pip Stat going into the system. Now, there's of course several different ways to skin a cat, for lack of a better way to put it. There's a lot of different ways to actually get in and place the order. We've already talked about double-clicking on the, right-clicking or going to trading and new order. There's a lot of different ways to open a new order. Now, there's some differences though. This right here is provided through MetaTrader, and any MetaTrader broker that's offering MetaTrader 4 is going to offer this little window. It's going to show you, one nice thing about it, I guess, is as you're learning things, it's going to show you the actual symbol. It's going to tell you what it is. Great Britain pound versus Japanese yen. That's the nice part about it. We talked a little bit last time about determining whether or not the account was a micro account, if it was a mini account. We can tell this is an ECN account that we opened up, and the smallest lot size that we can take on this one is a mini, which is 0.1. Now you can see that when I've got 0.01, I want to go take a trade, I can't. So that's just a little bit of a review there. But so 0.1, that's the smallest lot size that we can do. Of course, a standard lot would be 1.0. And I definitely don't recommend going that route. You're probably going to be starting out with micro accounts. And for some people that want to get started earlier and don't like the idea of demos, I even recommend going to a nano or a cent account. And there's some brokerages out there that do that. What they do is they essentially move the decimal. So it might feel like you're trading, $1,000, but they're just moving the decimal. Some people will trade $100,000 just because it's moving the decimal and it's actually cents. It looks like a live account, which it is, but it's essentially just moving your decimal point. So it's kind of funny. So like we mentioned, this is going to allow me to make a mini, and you can go in and you can take these trades. You can buy or sell, and then of course your close order, once you've placed that trade, in this little window right here pops up. This is showing what I'm doing, which is market execution, or if you're looking to place a pending order, you can also do a pending order here. Now, I don't really like the fact that this pops up and you've got to go in and open it up, and then you have to kind of go over and grab it and search for it. So the tool that I really like for execution is Pip Stat, and that's why I'm kind of showing this real quick. So I'm going to close the default one, and I'm going to open up Pip Stat. Now, when we opened this up, we right-clicked on the chart, and we went to Templates, and we opened up the TradeWest Forex Pip Stat template. And this is what we got. We got TradeWest Forex -Pip Stat. Do not close this chart. First thing that people typically think is, oh, I've got big red letters. That means stop. What we're saying is we're just saying stop. Don't close this. Minimize it. So go to the top right-hand corner of your chart there, and just minimize it. You can see this little guy over here kind of sneaking around in the background here. This is Pip Stat. I hesitate a little bit when I show Pip Stat because sometimes I want to go through and I want to show all of the different things that Pip Stat can do. But I think we'll kind of do a little bit of a brief overview of what it does. Now, for someone that's getting started in trading, there's something very important that we've already talked a little bit about, and that is money management. Money management was my lifesaver when I started trading, because the more I got into trading, the more I realized my good days, I was making some money, but all in all, I found myself treading water. And the truth is, you can only tread water for so long. I was slightly profitable, but when I found out what I was doing, and psychologically, I realized that really I was simply treading water. I was just trying to stay, and I got way too overprotective of my money. And that's really not the way to trade. You really have to disassociate yourself from your feelings, your emotions. You got to kick them out, and you've got to look at it as a business. You've got to look at all your trading as just a completely separate entity, a separate business, and pull your emotions out of it. One nice thing that I really like about Pip Stat, and this of course is a floating tool, I love the fact that Pip Stat it does a very good job for new traders getting all of that out of your mind. So not only does it deal with your money management, but it also takes care of your trade management. So this is not something, this is not that we're saying this is a strategy. This is a tool that simply facilitates a lot of the different things and actions that you're going to do while trading. Okay, and a lot of you already have Pip Stat and are familiar with it. I would venture to say there's several of you that are not. But there's other tools out there. The reason I'm bringing this up is we had a professional trader that came into one of our webinars yesterday, and he said, you know what, Pip Stat and Pip Stat Manager are truly proving to be the best execution tools on the market. So that's why I'm bringing this out here. And I wouldn't bring it up to just anybody unless we did offer a trial. If someone was interested in trialing it, we can do that as well. But I want to bring this in and familiarize you guys a little bit with taking those trades. Once again, double-clicking on any currency pair is going to pull up this window. You got to kind of go search for it. There's several different aspects of what you're looking for, and you have to sign off on what you're doing. Okay, you got to make sure that everything looks right. Okay, right currency pair, right lot size, whether it's execution or making a pending order. And then whether you're going to buy or sell, and it's pretty simple. You can see a tick chart here. So it's nice in one aspect, and at the same time, it's not doing anything for you. The broker's not doing you any favors by just saying, okay, place your orders. So once again, bringing money management into it, even though this is a very clean, small little tool, there's a lot more to it. So the first thing about Pip Stat that I really like is by suggestion of traders, we've actually moved this to the symbols, the symbol selection and the currency pair selector to the front of it, and it makes it really nice because you can go to it and you can just say, okay, well, let's say we've got the pound yen right here. We go in and we find the pound yen. Okay, pound yen, so it opens up there. Now look what that just did. Automatically what it's done is it has synchronized with this guy right here, 143.137. You see that? So it's automatically, it knows right where that chart is, and it's picked up with that specific currency pair. So these guys are kind of mated, so to speak. There's more to Pip Stat, of course. When you click this little center button, not the X is going to close it, but the center button is actually going to expand it. Now, when you go into a trade, it makes it nice. And I'm going to go like this. I'm actually going to take and make a focus of this one, and I'm just going to double-click on the top of the bar there, which will expand it out. Okay. So we've expanded Pip Stat, and now you can see that there's obviously scaling. It offers scaling. It says that there's been no trades, so it's not giving us any information on past trades, and it's showing something called Pip Factor. So as a brief overview to give you an idea, yes, this is going to let you scale out of trades, and what scaling is scaling is giving you the opportunity when you go in and you make any given trade, and let's say you go in with a 2 lot size, or a 0.2, excuse me, 2 mini lots, and you place a trade. It's another thing that it does is you can tell that just because the size of it, sometimes it conveniently kind of hides itself. It goes a little transparent there, so you can still see the history of what your chart's doing. Okay. So there's several different elements to it, and you can see at the top left here, starting out with take profit. Now it starts out at a default at 30. Stop loss starts out at 30, and you can see your sell, your buy, your lot size right there, just confirming your actual currency pair. You're scaling out, showing it's got no trades, and then Pip Factor. Okay. Scaling out and scaling in, obviously. Scaling out is if you're already in a trade, you've already bought or sold. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to place a trade, just kind of showing you here. We're going to place a trade and go into it. We're going to assume that we're in kind of a downward turn here, and it's maybe downtrending. It might actually be bouncing back. But we'll go ahead and we'll sell. Instant execution. It happens within 15 to 16 milliseconds. And one of the nice things I like about this tool is you can have 10 to 20 of them, and it really doesn't slow down your system. So you can have these all across your screen. You can have them in the background. You can have small windows, and you can have them open for everything up. Every chart that you've got open, you can have one of these associated with it with the given symbol. Okay. Now, we've placed that trade. You can see these lines here. Automatically, you can see where your take profit and your stop loss are. It's showing you that. If we go over to trade in the bottom left-hand corner of our terminal, you can see that we've actually placed that. You can see your margin level, okay, our balance. We started out with a $900 account, just as an example. We went in and we placed a trade at 0.2, in other words, 2 mini lots. Okay, it gives us all the information. Now, one of the things that I like to point out is I think it's important, anything that's an expert advisor, anything that you're bringing in that's a third-party tool, I like to go down to this toolbar, I like to right-click on it and go into comments. Comments is going to differentiate, it's going to show you what it is you're trading, what you're doing. It's going to give you that information, and it's going to say right here, Pip Stat version 1.20. Now, if I went in and I made another trade, and I did just, let's say I wanted to make a trade separate from Pip Stat, and let's say we're gonna go in and we're just gonna create a new order. And we're gonna sell 0.1 with this, just to kind of show you. It took probably the exact same amount of time, almost instantaneously. Matter of fact, it almost seemed like Pip Stat was faster, but they're both right there. Within milliseconds, it's done. You say OK, and it's placed. Now notice that the comment points out that the first trade was placed with Pip Stat. Okay? Now, something to keep in mind here. Okay, I'm going to open up some of this up top on our toolbars here, and of course you can get to those by going to View, Toolbars, and then you can customize, you can do everything else in there. Okay. So you can see where we're at. You can see the movement. You can tell in the bottom right-hand side here we've got comments enabled. Once again, we get that by right-clicking on that bar in the terminal where that says Order. If you're under Trade, across that bar, just clicking on it anywhere and clicking a check mark on comments, and that's going to get you your comments. Okay, so back to Pip Stat here. So you can see the difference. The nice thing about it is this guy is always open, and these are pretty big, easy buttons to click on. Even if it's sneaking around in the background there, transparent, you can still click on it once to acknowledge it. It's not going to, you're not going to accidentally buy if you just click on it once. It's going to pop up, so it shows itself first, and then you place the order, which makes it really nice. Okay, so scaling in and scaling out, of course, we're already into a trade, so just by example, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you to scale out of this. We can say, okay, let's scale out of this trade. We don't feel like it's going the direction we want to, or maybe it is and we want to just get out. It automatically pops up and it's going to give you the option of 50%. Now, the ticket is, of course, the trade that we just took. So you can see the 735 down here under order. You can see where it says 252.49735. Okay, so you can confirm there that these two guys match. Make sure that you've got the right ticket, and you can determine, depending upon your brokerage and what it's going to let you, depending upon your lot size and how small you can go. I'm going to say close it out at 50%, which is going to be closed 0.1 of 0.2. And I'm going to click that. Very quickly, it makes that determination, and it shows it. And it's so quick, you guys. It makes it very nice. Okay. Now, that's the nice thing about the execution. There's a lot of benefits to this, but to go a little bit more in depth about what Pip Stat is doing, this is why I really like Pip Stat. Not just because it's a nice little floating tool that I can put off somewhere on my screen or on a different screen, or I can just have it there and I can see the price action and bigger numbers. It's the price move. It's not that. What I like about Pip Stat is Mike Swanson, of course. He's this guy that just, from a professional trader standpoint, this guy was crazy about money management, just very, very into it. And it's ironic because every show that I've been to in the last 2.5, 3 years, every broker has been preaching about money management, and it's kind of like, it's kind of one of those things where and I could give you 100 examples, but the brokerages are just trying to get people that are getting started to understand that if you don't have money management, you're really gambling. That's all it is. That's kind of what differentiates trading Forex from actually gambling. And if you're not familiar with money management or how to handle that, then you want to familiarize yourself with something like Pip Stat. Like I mentioned, if you're interested in trialing it, we can probably set something up for you. But that's the great part about Pip Stat. What you don't see that's going on in here is as you place trades and as you go through the act of just making one trade after the next, you start building up a little bit of a history with the system. It very quickly is going to determine what your aptitude for trading the markets is. It's going to determine everything from really where you should be on your lot size, what kind of lot size you should be putting in there, and it's going to be determining really where you should be on your take profit, on your stop loss. It's going to figure all this stuff out for you. So from a starting standpoint, it doesn't. I don't think it gets any better as far as an execution tool. Okay, so we've scaled out of that position. Now we only have one lot size left in that, one mini lot, excuse me. So we've got 0.1 that's still in that trade for that one specific, for that ticket that we closed out. As you can see here, 252.49735, and I don't know how hard it is to see with this. Hopefully on the replay we'll get a high enough quality that you can see this okay. But that's how quick and easy this is. Now you can also go into clicking this little cog or this little settings tab in there, and this is where it all opens up, and you can see now from a beginning standpoint, I don't want to go too much into this stuff because I don't want to confuse you. You really don't need to use all this, but it's there. As you get more comfortable, it's got the options for professional traders. And out of our different tools, this has been one of the pros' favorite tools that we've had and that we've developed. So you can see up the top here, you can see it creates or gives you the opportunity to start what they call a unique ID. This tool will actually coincide and synchronize with a new product that we've come up with called Momentix. Anyways, there's a lot of different things that you can do. You can customize and change everything from your stop loss here. You can do it there, but you can do it in this thing more specifically. You can see what the trade comment is. Trade comment, of course, as we were showing below, is by right-clicking down here, checking comments. That's going to tell you what it is. If you want it to say something else, you can actually type that in and change it. And then, of course, your opacity is how opaque or how transparent. You can look at it either way, I guess. The system is going to be when you've clicked on something else. So 20% of what it is normally enables us to have the charts and the bars or candlesticks show up through that, which makes it kind of nice, I think. And you've got the choice of saying, do I want it always on top? Do I want to use the Pip Stat stop loss and take profit? And then as you can see here now, this guy works with Momentix, which is really cool. Okay, so this is, that's the majority of it. There's copying history. You can pull Pip Stat onto a chart that you haven't used in the past or that you've been using and trading for some time. And you can get it to copy that history so that it automatically is going to realize it's going to take note of what you've been doing. In trade management, rather than having to place several trades, it's great to be able to go in and have it figure it out very quickly because you've already been trading on that given chart or platform, that account. You can use, of course, a trailing stop. It says, of course, trailing stop active in pips, trailing stop away from price in pips, only move once. So you've got all these different options in here, which makes it really cool. So we're going to try and not make anything more confusing, so we'll close that. And if you're just getting started, you don't even need to go to that point. You can close that off for most of the time. You can close this little guy, and really that's all you need to get started for a little while. Just being able to get used to making trades. Okay. So there's our opacity at 20%. So you can still see that it's there. You can tell where it's at. And if you've got several different charts open, it makes it nice to be able to go in and do that. Now, of course, we can open this up for any chart that we have. So if we say, hey, I want one on, this one actually is the the pound yen, so I'll bring it to the prospective chart there. And I can go and click on it once, and I can hit the plus sign, little plus symbol there, and now I want to have one for the pound dollar. So it makes it really nice. Open it up to the pound dollar. I'm going to sit it on there. Maybe I want another one for the euro US. I'm going to bring it in, euro US dollar, and those guys are just sitting there ready to go. Now keep in mind that a lot of this stuff takes time to set up, and this is what we started going into last time in Module 3, which was the first module for MetaTrader 4. When you do this, it really makes sense to go in and start creating profiles. So when you set things just perfectly the way that you want them, make sure that you go in and you create a profile for yourself. Say, okay, this is how I want to start out my trading day. These are the currency pairs that I want to trade. You come up with a name, you save it, and then when you come back in, everything pops up just the way that you had it. And that's huge. It took me a long time to figure that out, and nobody really said anything about it. And once I found out about it, I started kind of smacking myself in the head thinking, why didn't somebody bring that up sooner? But profiles, it makes a big difference. Of course, you can change the orientation and how you've got things set up. You might have to move these guys around a little bit. I'm going to go to vertical because I think it's a little bit easier to kind of see. And we talked before about how you can bring things closer into view by left-clicking on any given chart and then dragging it across the time parameter on the bottom there. You can see the date. Okay, so we've got pound dollar, which is right there. We've got pound yen. We'll put that guy there. And then euro US. Hopefully that makes sense. And I want to make sure that, okay, we've got someone asking where do you download Pip Stat. Pip Stat, you can actually get a hold of Pip Stat through TradeWest. Now let me see if we've got I'm trying to see if it doesn't look like anybody's answered you there. We can get you set up with a trial if you'd like to get started trying it out. Go ahead and we'll post a link in here for you, Kai, if that's okay, and we'll get you lined up with that. Anybody else that's interested, just let us know and we'll respond there to you. Let me make sure that I've got somebody else that can help with those things real quick. Okay. So, like I say, the reason I really like Pip Stat, and it's funny because a lot of the design that went into Pip Stat was from a group of traders, several different traders in our beta team. So, if you're interested in being a Forex software developer to some degree, TradeWest is one of the only companies that opens up their beta team, their design side of the software to the beta team. So much of what makes its way into the products, and that's really you know, as a team, we can't take all the credit for it. So much of what goes into it is actually suggestions from that group. So, for example, the suggestion to put the symbols right on the very front of Pip Stat, that was one of them. People said, you know, I'd like to just be able to very quickly grab it from the front end and put it in there. Can I do that? And then next thing you know, a week later, it was part of the system. Okay, so moving right along. Okay, so keep in mind when you're looking at getting into MetaTrader 4 and you're kind of familiarizing yourself with execution, there's one other side to placing orders that you want to get comfortable with very quickly, and that is pending orders. I think what we'll probably do for time's sake is we'll probably make the pending order side another webinar, just because there's a lot of stuff to go into. It's actually a different tool that I could bring up if you guys are interested, and that is Pip Stat Manager, where you've got lines on the screen that you can actually go in and double-click those lines and move your stop loss, your take profit, and create your buy and sell limit orders and all that fun stuff. But it's a good habit to get into to start not necessarily just jumping into a trade, but looking at a chart and saying, you know what, if it goes to this point, I want in. And that's really what setting up buy and sell limit orders and things, pending orders, are going to do for you is if the price makes it to where you want to be and where you're comfortable, then great, it gets in. If not, nothing lost, no worries. You don't have to get into a trade just because you're there looking at a chart. Sometimes that's the hardest thing to do. I know a lot of pros will tell you that one of the hardest things to do is to know when to not trade. It's a patience skill that takes a long time typically to learn. But sometimes that's one of your best moves is just to not make a trade and just to kind of observe and watch and see what happens. Okay. Well, hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea on the execution side of getting into it. Of course, my preference, again, is using Pip Stat. We'll talk about Pip Stat Manager the next time around, but there's several different things that we can go into. As far as review, I don't think we need to really show anything. I don't think we need to show anything else that we've reviewed from this last one unless anybody has any questions. Oh, Charles is saying if you ever have to fix a MT4 by reinstalling over your existing platform, saving profile is a must. That's so true. Yeah, especially, and if this is the Charles that I think it is, he typically has anywhere from 12 to 24 charts open at any given time. So you can imagine what it would be like if he did not have that, and he's got everything set up the way he wants it, and then you lose it all. So it can really be kind of frustrating. Okay, under the navigator box really quickly as you kind of go down here, I'm going to show you going into custom indicators. There's of course there's indicators and there's custom indicators. I've already downloaded and installed Momentix. Of course you can see momentum down here, Momentix. Momentix is another one that we could talk a little bit about, and this is a really cool tool. There's all sorts of different strategies out there, systems out there. The thing is, you want to find something getting started. You want to find something that makes sense. If you watch any kind of a presentation or any kind of a sales video, if you watch anything and it doesn't click, and there's not that aha moment in that process where it just doesn't seem to make sense for you, you probably don't want to go forward with it without getting a better idea as to what's going on. Now, I don't really like the black, and I've had it on here just kind of for demonstration purposes, but I like to go in once again. I like to open things up and say template. Now, I loaded it down here from custom indicators, but most Forex companies that are on the development side, they're going to create, they should anyways, they should create an easy way for you to install and download things. I'm going to go to the template that says TradeWest Forex Momentix. Again, this is you can go to that specific chart, you can right-click on it, go to Template, go down to, in this case, we're going to put Momentix on there. I'm going to go ahead and minimize these guys because I don't need them. And that little far left guy in the top right-hand corner is just going to, that's just minimizing it. Like any other window, it's just putting it down there. And of course, I'm on the pound dollar, and that's my corresponding currency pair and symbol. So now you can see Momentix. And as you can see here, you can see, just get kind of an idea with the pound dollar. You've got Momentix. It's very clear. It's showing you with these blue boxes, it's showing you, hey, it looks like we're going to go up this direction. This red box here, it's basically saying, hey, it's going to go the other direction. Momentix was a system that Mike Swanson developed after having gone to work for a Swiss brokerage, a Swiss bank, excuse me. He had created aggregate systems and bridges for brokers, and then he went to work with a Swiss bank, and he established a retail version of what he traded. And so it's really a cool little program. You can see different things based on the stars of what it's showing up on top here, on potentially what you could see out of different trades. I won't go too much into that because I'm already kind of over time, but very cool little tool. Now this guy, once again, Pip Stat, nice thing about it is this guy's going to enable us to use it in conjunction with this tool. So now you can go and you can say use Momentix stop loss and take profit, and then you get to the point where you start using the same unique ID, and you line these two guys up, and it makes it very cool, makes it really nice. Okay, well, I'm not going to go too much further into that. I'm going to go ahead and close that out. Are there any questions that I can answer on what we've talked about so far? Hopefully you guys are getting a little better idea as to how to kind of navigate your way through MetaTrader 4. Wait to make sure and see if anybody's got any questions. Looks good, okay. Everything's clear. Look, awesome. Okay, sounds like everybody's doing okay. Okay, so to what extent are Pip Stat and Momentix tools versus trading systems? This is a good question, and I'm going to give you my opinion. I think that both of them can be classified as systems, just because what's going on with Pip Stat is when you're making a trade, there are several algorithms, calculations, programs running in the background that are determining things like your average peak to valley, your average deviations, your all these different things, your average win, what's taking place. And that's what's nice about being able to copy your history and jump in head first with a a chart and some history that you've got going. So that makes it kind of nice. But I actually personally I call Pip Stat a tool and I call Momentix a system. Now, everybody's going to have their own definition of that. That's just me. Anything that you're using that facilitates kind of the execution side of things, or what I'm saying is kind of like the window that pops up that gets you closer to making a decision, as opposed to actually loading any kind of a given indicator or an expert advisor that's actually even though Pip Stat loads up like an expert advisor, and as you can see here, we've got 4 things open down below here, but only 3 charts up. Once again, that's because we have a small little guy that's been minimized, and that's our connection. This is Pip Stat's connection into the MetaTrader 4 platform. So it was really pretty ingenious how they came up with that. I'm no programmer, so I don't get to take credit for that. But that it synchronizes into the system, and that's how it works. Okay. We had another question from Kai. Can you use Pip Stat independently, and where to get it? Yes, and it looks like the support guys are actually they're going to send you an email on that. Okay. Yeah, depending upon the product that we're offering or different things that we have going, the company, of course, is TradeWestForex.com. Okay, so any other questions about the platform as far as how to load something up, how to bring something in? Of course, we've talked a little bit about either double-clicking sometimes on things or going straight to the chart, depending upon what we're trying to do, and right-clicking on it with the context menu popping up. There's a lot of different things that you can do from the chart itself. My opinion is, as you get more comfortable with it, you want to do whatever is the least amount of work. That sounds kind of funny to say take the path of least resistance. But as you get into trading, the more time you have making actual decisions as to what's taking place, whether you're whether you're actually executing a trade, or whether you're getting out of a trade or scaling it or out, or positioning yourself and cost averaging, whatever it is you're doing, the less time you have to worry about logistics, so to speak, and placement with your charts and your platform. That means the more time you're actually, the more efficient you are, and the more time you're actually spending doing what's going to actually make you money, which is most likely why you got into Forex. So, any other questions that you guys have? Charles is asking, can I close an MT4 taken trade with Pip Stat? Okay, I'm assuming, so you're talking about, for example, obviously there's taking a trade. Let me show you here. I think this is what he's referring to. So if we came over here to the pound yen and we said trading, new order. Let's see, we've already got, yeah. Let's say we place a new order with MetaTrader. I'm thinking that this is what he's referring to. Okay, it's kind of gone sideways on us here. Well, let's say, let's just place an order here. Okay, it's taking it in. We hear that little alert. You hear a little noise that says, basically kind of confirms, and you see it pop up. The only real confirmation that you want to consider as being 100% that order has been executed within MetaTrader, in my opinion, is when you go onto the trade tab down below in the terminal box, and you actually see that trade was taken. Okay. In my opinion, that's really the only way that you can tell for sure that it's happened. Okay, and you can see it at the different price points. Okay, you can see what's going on there. Now to go back in and say, okay, we had our Pip stats. Let's pull up our pound yen and go in. If we say we want to close out an order, for example, you see down here, you can see you've got 786. You've already done a partial on that one. You've got 102. When you click on this, you can say close out all trades. You can close out all trades in profit. Now this is a recent feature that Mike has just recently added into it, which makes it really nice. And then you can see right here the unique ID 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 that popped up there in Momentix. So you've got an opportunity to close them all. I'm going to say close all trades, and instead of doing a 50%, you can say 100. I'm going to close them all out. So hopefully that answers your question. Yes, you can use Pip Stat to close out orders from MetaTrader. So hopefully that answers your question. Guy, thanks for being with us. Yeah, you bet. We're gonna go ahead and shoot you guys some links there. Once again, my purpose isn't to just show Pip Stat. I'm thinking of what could be the most helpful for traders that are just kind of getting started. And as far as tools go, the one thing that traders always forget is trade management. So out of all the different products that we offer, or anybody else that I can think of that they offer, there's another tool out there that's actually, it's probably, I don't know, looks kind of cool, but it doesn't do all of your trade management. And that's what I'm thinking would be probably the best help for people to get started. Now keep in mind, when you get used to it, you get kind of spoiled. So there's a drastic difference between using Pip Stat and not. And it's one of those where trading got a lot more fun. It became much more fun, in my opinion, when Pip Stat made it out of beta. It became much more fun. Trading altogether, just because you got to focus. You were able to focus on the stuff that really mattered, and that was the stuff that really drew you into trading Forex. So that's what I really liked about it. Okay, so we've gone through some examples here and given some ideas. Once again, don't forget your templates, depending upon the strategy or the system that you're using. I would highly recommend that you guys find something that, like I mentioned, that clicks for you. We're one of hundreds of different developers out there that create different products. The nice thing about TradeWest Forex that I really like is the fact that the traders within the group that have already invested in one product or another, that's who we listen to. I mean, those people have made an investment in us, and we reciprocate that investment in them by improving tools and systems and things like that according to suggestions that they make, because we don't have all the answers, and we'll be the first to admit it. but it has made products and things like that much easier to accomplish and develop. It makes a big difference. I'm going to load another template here just to show you. This is a trend entry template. So this is a different one. This is a good one for people that are just getting started with trading. And once again, there's several different indicators and tools out there. Doesn't get much easier than something like trend entry in my own opinion. Now, one thing I do want to show here is with trend entry, for example, you can see here these little arrows. Now I've just loaded another indicator on here. Trend entry, you see this down arrow here. If you right click on there and you go to the indicators list. Now if this was an expert advisor, an EA, or a system that was loaded like an EA, like Pip Stat, then you'd go in here and you can actually access your settings and options from here. But this is an indicator, so I'm going to go to indicator list and I'm going to pull this up. Of course, I'm in the pound yen. It shows me I'm on the 1 hour chart, and I can go in and I've got two different components that come with this. In the context menu here, it shows that I have both a noise filter and the actual trend entry indicator itself. Now for trend entry is one of those where you actually see these red dotted lines going across the screen, and you can see it pop out of those limitations, so to speak. And so when it does that, it's typically going to trigger, different things in the chart, which is kind of cool. It's saying, hey, there's some momentum picking up, there's some things going on. There's a good chance that this is going to happen here. So what I like to do is and you can go in and you can actually, a lot of times you can edit them. You can go into your inputs, and I like to go in and say, okay, I'm going to customize this a little bit. It shows you here that it's got to be between a 1 and a 5, but the trade frequency, I'm going to say 5. I'm going to say I want to see every little arrow that I can get, whether it's super accurate or not. I want to see it. Buy arrow size, I'm going to keep it at 2, and the sell arrow size, I'm going to keep it at 2 as well. I like the blue and red colors. It's very, very easy to differentiate if it's a buy or a sell. I'm going to hit OK. Of course, it takes a second there. I'm going to close that. Now, do you see how all of a sudden you can see more opportunities popping up? Now, to show a different way of doing it, I'm going to go back down here. Of course, in your navigator box, you can see you can expand and contract these, of course. I'm going to go down to trend entry, and I'm going to drag and drop. This is another way to do it. Drag and drop it again. It goes directly to inputs. So I've already got one at a 5 frequency. I'm going to now put one in there at a 3 frequency. But to be able to differentiate them, I want a larger arrow. So I'm going to put in a size 3 arrow. Now this is just one indicator, but a lot of them are going to be similar. So I'm kind of showing you this so you can get an idea as to what different developers are doing. And if there's other products that people want to see, we can also take a look at some of those and even review some of those if you're really interested. Okay, so we've got a trade frequency of 3, a buy arrow size of 3. So what I'm doing is I'm saying, okay, my frequency, I want it to be less frequent, and I want it to be shown with a bigger arrow to show that it has maybe a little bit more strength. Maybe it's a little bit more confirmed signal, and that's why I've gone from a size 2 to a size 3. Then I just hit OK. And that's not enough for me, so I want to go in and grab another one. So I'm going to grab another trend entry. I'm just dragging and dropping it onto the chart there. And now I'm going to say, okay, I want to see a 1. I want to see a very infrequent, a pretty confirmed signal. And my last size of a 3 frequency was actually a size 3 arrow. I want to go up to a size 5 arrow now because this is a pretty confirmed signal. I'm going to put 5s there. So hopefully that makes sense. Of course, every time I do that, it's going to say this. Now do you see what's happening here? We're getting bigger arrows that are saying, okay, this is more of a confirmation. This is definitely moving down. Okay, you see a little gap there. Some bigger movements. So you can see bigger arrows when there's that much more movement taking place. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. You guys can kind of get an idea as to trend entry. It's a cool little tool as far as how it works, and just being able to see different little movements, little catches. For getting started, it's an excellent tool. It's a great way to, and of course if you've got something like Pip Stat, everything else is taken care of. So you've got your signals, and then you've got your execution. If it's red, I'm going to hit my red button. If it's blue, I'm going to hit my blue button. It's pretty straightforward. That's one of the things that's really nice about some of the systems and tools that we offer. We try to make them as easy as we possibly can. Once again, my purpose in this is really just to get people comfortable with what's possible with MetaTrader. Some of the different things that you can do with MetaTrader. Most of the systems out there that are developed by different companies are most of them are being developed for MetaTrader 4 as opposed to MetaTrader 5. When we're talking about MetaTrader, there's several reasons for that. Like we mentioned, eventually there's going to be a push for MetaTrader 5, and there will be no more excuses. So eventually it'll, you won't have any reason to say, oh, I've got to hang on to MetaTrader 4. I'd rather be trading MetaTrader 4. Sometimes it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks, but I tell you what, when you get everything in a very similar looking platform with a couple added features and different things that work a little bit better, sometimes that's reason enough. Okay, you guys. Well, any other questions about MetaTrader? Okay, we've got a question. Can Pip Stat take over management of MT4 taken trades, or those taken by other EAs? Okay, this is a very good question. Now, to some extent, yes. There's, and we can further answer that question if you add us on Skype or get in touch with us. We can give you a little bit better explanation to that. However, specifically, I would say at this point it's something that we're working on. We're taking Pip Stat kind of to the next level, even where we'll have some of that control, where you will be able to go in and do some different things. Mike Swanson is the person that actually developed a product that went in and took over the money management of whatever strategy that you have. So if there's one guy out there that can do it, you're talking about the developer of that one system out there that I've seen that does an excellent job and does essentially that integrates money management and things like that into other strategies and other EAs. A lot of you probably heard what his dynamic money management system did to FAP Turbo and some of these other third-party expert advisors, where people had either lost money or did okay with them, but then they plugged in what he had discovered and made, and they saw 3 times the results. So there's some very valuable things to be learned about money management, and that is something that we're looking at doing. So, okay, you guys, I think we've answered most of the questions. We're definitely over time. I was trying to tell myself that I wasn't going to go over, but I apologize for being a little long-winded. Hopefully everybody's had a little bit better idea as to how to go in and maneuver through the MetaTrader platform. And thank you guys for being with us. We appreciate it. We'll keep things open here for another minute or two, just answering questions. If you guys have any other questions, we'll stick around in the background, and you can go ahead and post those questions, and we'll still be here to respond for a few minutes, and then we'll go ahead and close down the webinar. But thank you again. This is the end of Module 4 of Forex 101 with the TradeWest Forex Group. Thank you.